Welcome to another episode of the Crypto Spent There podcast. I'm feeling like garbage, so this is going to be a short one. Maybe even less than 10 minutes. Who knows? First up, Federal Trade Commission files lawsuit targets deceptive cryptocurrency schemes. The FTC is targeting crypto that relies on chain referring like BitConnect. So basically that means any crypto that relies on you referring people into its system and you getting residuals from the people they refer and all that, and just on pyramid schemes. Yeah, that's what they're going after. British IT hardware supplier to build largest Bitcoin farm in the UK. So major UK IT manufacturers looking to capitalize on Bitcoin. We have already seen Samsung do a similar move, and it's not too surprising that you see someone else in a different region doing it now. The competition for most established miners will probably come from companies like this. They're already established and looking to diversify into crypto, and your average person will 100% be getting left behind. ICOs iced. A 12-month freeze on U.S. token trading may just be the beginning. So the U.S. is getting cold on ICOs. Most ICOs that aren't going to face the full wrath of the SEC are on 12-month lockups, which is brutal considering people have been used to flipping ICOs as early as a month or week, or like a few weeks, handful of weeks after the coin sale was done, and sometimes even almost within days for some specific coins. But this 2017 flips you could see in 2017 might just be over, with 2018 hitting the regulation hard and forcing at least U.S. companies to have these year-long lockups before you can do anything with the tokens. So maybe in the next bull run, you can capitalize on ICO pools and, avoid having to deal with US only things, and go look at some European or Asian ICOs, and maybe there'll be some garbage ones in that one that are quick flips, but at least for the US, anything that's trying to be legit will have some very, very average person unfriendly lockup. And regulation is going to be the death here. Bitcoin price surges 10% as the G20 will not crack down on cryptocurrencies. So this G20 recent meeting didn't lay down a harsh ruling toward Bitcoin, and they were actually looking for some regulatory advice for the future, specifically for this summer, that they were looking to establish something. So they see Bitcoin as an asset and not currency also. And for now, we avoid global regulation. It's far away, but in the future, you should definitely expect some kind of global wide arching regulation, especially as more real world kind of people with physical presences get into crypto, and it's just inevitable for countries to band together and actually finally make some kind of wide arching laws. But for now, we are avoiding that headache, luckily. But who knows what the later part of 2018 or even 2019 will hold. Mt. Gox's trustee, 40 million sale did not drop Bitcoin price. So he claims that his sales had no effect on the market, and I've seen a few other analysts say the same thing. But I feel like this is just removing all other factors and just saying his pure sales themselves, they didn't impact the market. Just pure number wise. But I think it could have changed this market sentiment, the feels of the market, which I've said many times, how the market feels is actually very important in crypto, and it's even verifiably affected by kind of opinions you can find on various social medias. Because, like I said, there's been a couple academic studies that have shown that there's a significant relationship between sentimental and social media and the actual price. So I think that could have been the major driver if his sell-off actually affected the market. But in the case that his sell-off didn't affect the market, it could have been a multitude of other things. And in particular, I'm sure Bitfinex would say it was because Tether wasn't propping everything up. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. Twitter will ban cryptocurrency ads in the next 2 weeks, says report. So it seems like Twitter's joining Facebook and Google on the train to prevent more unsophisticated users from falling from scammy ICOs on social media. And as I've been saying for weeks, it's not surprising that this ruling has happened, and some legit people will suffer because of this. But I have heard that not all, there's like exceptions to the rule on Twitter at least. Not everyone in a blanket statement will be banned, but there's some, I guess, high profile exceptions that will be able to circumvent it. But looks like crypto ICOs will have to reach out to people who actually bother to read white papers now. Coincheck removes Monero, Dash, and Zcash due to risks. So Coincheck is probably facing massive regulatory pressure. They've been hacked recently in the last 2 or 3 months, it was, for the NIM. So while Dash and Zcash aren't really completely anonymous, Monero is, and all three of them still give an advantage over an easily trackable coin like Bitcoin. And regulators are probably circling like sharks to get these coins off just because they're harder to monitor and harder to keep track of for their like legal. There's like some regulatory standards that banks have to follow. I know is just to prevent money laundering and things like that, money laundering, terrorism, and the fact that the exchange has private coins, and I'm sure Korea is kind of trying to push for the same regulation for their exchanges. It really exposes them to some risk if money launderers decide to use one of these three on their exchange. So expect more exchanges to kind of shy away from privacy coins as regulatory pressure gets on them. Trump bans U.S. citizens from investing in the Venezuela's Petro cryptocurrency. Everyone with the brain was saying this was going to happen. It was really obvious. Even beforehand, there was other officials warning about dealing with Petro, and now if you dealt with it and you're an American citizen, good luck, basically. If Maduro doesn't pull a fast one and end up just pocketing the money and not actually delivering anything to investors, rip, and then double rip if this lands you in federal jail, because it does have the potential. Volumes on most cryptocurrency exchanges are faked or inflated. So this study just boils down to saying exchanges without fiat gateways have higher slippage and lower liquidity, so they're more likely to be exploited and manipulated because of this lower liquidity. Funny enough, some of the more legitimate exchanges were Coinbase, another one, Coinbase, something else that I can't remember right now, and one that caught me off guard, which is Bitfinex. That just kind of like blew me away, but and that one's kind of like suspect just because of the Tether thing. But exchanges that I'm sure explain. Oh, the other one was cracking. So the European. But yeah, basically exchanges that operate in US dollars, euros, pounds, whatever, more liquid, less slippage, and less likely to be manipulated. And I think this also just stems in that they're also more likely to face regulatory pressures because they are actually using government currencies on their exchange. And well, if cryptocurrency only exchanges really are the ones that have the higher mobility of just avoiding regulation if they really want to. But just be aware of that. A lot of people already kind of know this as a common sense thing that a lot of exchanges do a lot of like sketchy things and wash trade and then do a lot of other things. But now you kind of have some little bit of proof, even if I'm pretty sure the study has not been peer reviewed or anything like that. It's still at least a start. The NSA has been tracking Bitcoin users, Snowden papers reveal. So the NSA claimed to be tracking Bitcoin for counterterrorism reasons, but it can be that just statement has wide-arching implications. They even said they access people's computers to make connections via the data they acquired on their target. So despite not being the most private coin, Bitcoin is still their top priority, mainly probably because it's the most used. And I don't know why they're not bothering with Monero. Maybe this is an older report, but it's probably because Bitcoin is a lot more dominant. And hopefully that time you bought drugs from Silk Road many moons ago doesn't come back to bite you in some case, as the NSA maps out every transaction from a dark web website or something stupid like that. So just be aware of that when you're using any kind of crypto, that government agencies and analytic agencies are 100% watching where you're moving your money. And to Tether, controversial Tether issues 300 million in new tokens. Critics react, and as you expect, the main critic Bitfinex is claiming that the market is only picking up because these additional tethers. And who knows if that's completely true or not? But what I do know is this Tether thing still has the potential to blow up completely. There's been some talk about a recent study saying that they could potentially actually be legitimate and have enough money to support, like enough money in the actual bank in, I think it was Puerto Rico, to support how much they're printing and all that. And I mean, exchanges do make a lot of money daily, and it's still pretty sketchy that they haven't been allowed a third-party audit and been a lot more transparent, considering the bold claims Bitfinex has been putting forward and how they have been very dubious on how they deal with attempting to silence him or her. Twitter's CEO says Bitcoin will become the world's single currency within a decade. So I guess some happy but kind of exaggerated news, especially since Twitter's reducing crypto ads, basically banning 99% of them. And he currently doesn't think Bitcoin is at the point where it could cut it as a currency, but he sees that this will change in the future. And will the world change this fast? Who knows? I think the safer bet is just to say that blockchain technology will be regularly in our daily lives within a decade, rather than it completely replacing the current financial institution and installing some one world currency. That seems pretty unlikely for now, but who knows? Projecting anything 10 years in the future is just kind of arrogant. Even 5 years, a lot can change, but we'll see. We'll ride it out. And that's this episode. A sickly episode that was longer than expected. But that was the highlights of this past few days. See you on Monday, and hopefully you get a full, healthy episode.